Alright guys, today we're going to unbox and review the Super NT from Analogue. Stay tuned to see what we think about this new gaming console. Alright you guys, so we picked up this Analogue Super NT recently. Now, I was unfamiliar with what these were until I seen a video on YouTube, and I thought it would be a good benefit for us to purchase one, try it out, and possibly use it to replace our existing Super Nintendo. The reasons for this would be because you can have pretty much the best case scenario as far as audio and video out for Super Nintendo games on your modern HDMI television. This has HDMI out, and it's also got a lot of user interface functions where you can change the look and the sound of the games to meet whatever you're trying to do. So, currently we do have a TV that will allow you to run different types of inputs into it. That TV will eventually go bad, and then with the newer TVs coming out, you're getting more and more limited to what you can do to connect to those televisions. So I thought as far as long-term goes, this would be the best ideal for us. We can not only experience some games to the best of what our abilities are, and we can be able to get some good video capture considering this is HDMI out that we can run through our Elgato. Having said that, we're going to unbox this and take a look at it. And one thing I will note, you'll see here, this is still in its original wrapper. So these are sold out on Analogue's website, and they are no longer available. I contacted Analogue before I purchased this. I bought this off of eBay, off someone that I assume bought 2 or 3 of these originally, kept one for themselves, and then waited for the prices to go up and listed this on eBay. They are a little bit more expensive now. These were originally, I think, around $250 or something like that. But regardless, these are no longer being produced. I contacted Analogue. They confirmed that. They said they're no longer going to make these. They've moved on to other things. Right now, they've got a pre-order for a Turbo Duo, which is essentially the TurboGrafx Duo that had the chip card slot and the disc set up on that. So that is for pre-order right now on their website. But if you're wanting one of these, you're going to have to go to Mercari, eBay, somewhere like that, and find somebody that has one, whether it's used or new like the one we have. So let's take a look at the box. I mean, pretty simple. You've just got the square design here, and it's not too big as far as the box goes. Let's open this up and see what we can come up with on the inside of this thing. So the box has a matte black finish. Let's take the top off. And then here's the console. So it's kind of a cute little guy. Looks very similar to the original Super Nintendo. I got the US version here. I mean, that's the version that I'm familiar with as far as the Super Nintendo goes anyways. So that's what I decided to purchase, but they've got a clear version that's really expensive. They've got a white version that's expensive, and they've got a black version. I just decided to go with the typical US one. Okay, you guys, so overall, this is a very well-made console. At least it feels that way. The plastic it's not light. It feels like it's a decent made console here. You've got rubber along the bottom that'll help to grip whatever surface it's placed on. Got your first and second player ports on the front, power reset buttons on the top, which match the same color combination as the original Super Nintendo. So there's a couple options for this as far as the firmware goes. There's the original firmware, and there's the jailbreak firmware that I believe is available now. And that means that you can download firmware onto an SD card and upload it onto here so that you can play ROM files from that SD card. Now you can also use a Krikzz EverDrive cartridge to do the same thing. The benefit of the Krikzz EverDrive cartridge is that you have save states on the cartridge itself. Some games came with save states, and that would hold true if you're using just this jailbreak version. But if you want to be able to have save states on whatever game you're playing, then you would want to go with the Krikzz EverDrive. I personally like the Krikzz EverDrive. I think it's a very well made cartridge, and the firmware and everything in it seems to work very well. Then we go around to the back, and we've got a USB port here for our power in, and then the HDMI out, which is, again, this is very critical, running to a new television and also being able to get that game capture. Now, having considered that, we have right now an adapter that goes from the original Super Nintendo to the TV and converts it to HDMI, but you have to have a separate power supply running to that adapter to get it to work. I'm not a big fan of that because it's an extra cable. This is more simpler. All right, you guys, so also included in the box, we've got this, I don't know what this is. Celebrate and explore the history of video games, the respect that it deserves. So this is kind of just a welcome to. And yeah, I believe this console came installed with Super Turrican installed onto the console. And then inside we've got this box here, which I'm assuming is going to have the power cable and maybe an HDMI. So we've got our adapter here for the power. Seems to have a kind of like a felt type finish on it, the way it feels. Looks like it's made pretty good. And then we've got our power cable here. Pretty typical, and the good thing about this being standardized with a USB is, if you need to be a longer cable, you can go to any kind of electronics store, phone store, and get a longer cable for it. So that's pretty good. And the fact that they provide their own adapter, I think, is great because, they're not all created equal. You may get one that's a cheaper one, and it may damage something. So I'm glad that they provided that. And then we've got our HDMI cable, which is also a analog cable. So that's pretty neat. It's not just a generic one that they've gotten somewhere. They put the time into working with the manufacturer to create their own HDMI. Now, I don't know if this is going to be long enough for us to use. If not, we'll just use a different one, but it's good that they at least included it. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at our original Super Nintendo compared to the Analogue Super NT. So as you notice, the color scheme is pretty much spot on compared to the original. Definitely with the layout of everything, it's similar. I mean, you've got your eject button gray that matches the analog colors here, and then you've got your power and reset to match the original ones. So I think all that's good. The actual housing colors, very similar to the original, and then just the layout of everything I think is pretty close. Obviously this is a heavier console. It doesn't mean it's better or worse in any way. It's just the way things were made back then. This is a lot older. Now this one's in pretty good shape, one we use normally. And the only real problem that I have with the older ones is the fact that you can't get the best quality image out to go to your modern television, and that's what this is going to do for us. So let's take a look at a couple other things here real quick. All right, so there were some adders that you could get with this from the company 8BitDo or 8BitDo. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but regardless, they make some wireless controllers, and that's what we use on our Super Nintendo. So I brought these little plug-in adapters here from our game room just to show you guys. So this is 8BitDo wireless adapter. Now, I believe, and we'll check it out, I don't think you actually need these to work correctly in this console. It'll just automatically pair up via Bluetooth with the 8BitDo's controllers. So that's pretty cool. But if not, we do have these, and this is how they will look if we need to use them. They just plug in to the front like so, and here you go. So no problem. If we need to use these, we can. And then another important thing for us, we also have our Krikzz EverDrive cartridge. and it will work. Just plug into the top just like the original Super Nintendo. So this will play a standard cartridge, and it will play the Krikzz EverDrive, which is pretty important. Some games are easier to come by than others as far as the original cartridge goes, and I think that's what makes these things very great for people that can't access some of those titles, whether it was because it was released in a different country or it's just hard to come by or very expensive. Okay, so all in all, this as far as just the unboxing and taking a look at this thing, I think it's pretty nice. Is it for you? I don't know. It's you know, it depends on what you're trying to do. I think this is for someone that's going to be doing one of two things. Either you've got an enthusiast that really wants to get the best quality gaming that they can from a retro console or retro games. This thing can do that for you, especially on modern TVs. Or it could be for the other person that's trying to do YouTube videos and they want an easy way to do a game capture of these consoles with that HDMI out to an Elgato or whatever you're using to do that. So is it worth the money? I don't know. We're going to test this out here in a minute, and we'll let you know what our impressions is as far as the gameplay and everything goes. We do have to upload firmware onto this before we can use it. I know we have to do that, so we'll take care of that before, and then we'll hop into the actual gameplay and give you our opinion of the Analogue Super NT. And now, Meaningless Thoughts with Russ.
What if a 3D printer 3D printed a 3D printer?
This has been a presentation of Meaningless Thoughts with Russ. All right, so you've seen how everything started up there. It's Analogue's open screen, if you will, or startup screen for the console. This is the only console we currently have from them, so I'm not sure if they're all the same. I would imagine they are. So this is the main screen here. We've got Run Cartridge, Super Turrican Director's Cut, Super Turrican 2, Settings, and Tools. Now, you can just use your D-pad to go up and down and select whatever you want to do. Super Turrican 2 is a game that's pre-downloaded onto this, so you don't have to actually put it onto the SD card or anything like that. It's installed here, and the Director's Cut both, so you can play those. If we go to Run Cartridge, if there's a cartridge in the console, that's how it's going to run. Now there's a couple different things you can do. Depending on how you want this screen to look, once it loads up, it can go directly into a cartridge. You can go into this menu, or you can do a couple of different things. So let's go into Settings, take a look at what all options we've got. Video, Audio, System, About, Save, and Clear Settings. Now, one thing I will say, if you notice at the bottom, you're going to see the Confirm and Cancel A, B. I set those up. This was originally as Y and B, and I don't know, I just thought A and B was better for me. It's easier because it's pretty typical in all systems. So that's why I set it up. But we'll start on video. If you click A or whatever button you've got this set up as is Y to get into video, you've got different options. Resolution, so you can change it to whatever resolution you want. Right now it's at 1080p 60. I'm not going to be changing this. You can do whatever you think looks best on your screen, but I've messed around with this a little bit and I felt that was the best, so that's what we're going to leave it at. Width and height. So this is if you want to actually change how wide the resolution, or sorry, how wide the screen is on your TV. Some TVs are a little different than others, so this is where you can fine tune it and either get it to fit the full screen, or if you just want to go with the typical square format that you would have had on a traditional TV, then you can go with that. It's just really up to you, and this gives you a lot of options of however you want to adjust that. So what you would do is, for instance, on the width, you can just hit A, and then you can move left or right, however you want to do it to increase or decrease the size of that. You could go down to whichever one you want, and then once you're done, you can hit B and go out of there, or again, whatever button you have set up to do that. Cropping, so that's if the image is too big, you can crop it in. scalers, scan lines. These are things that, you know, if you want more of a traditional look, you can go into and play around with them. I am not interested really in doing all that, so I've just got it left off. But if you want to, that's definitely something that you can do, and they're offering here. Extra features. So we've got 64 sprite titles, mode, and 6 interlace disable, pseudo hires blending. And there's a little description below that shows what these are. I'm not interested in doing any of this, so I'm just leaving it as it is. As it does say here, more sprites can be shown at one time. So if you click on this, like we'll select it, then this could potentially show more things on the screen. And then if you go back, let's see here, when we get to main screen, I'll show you. But what you want to do is whatever you change, whenever you get back to the main menu screen, you'll want to save those settings so that the next time you start up the console, it will have those. If you don't save it, it'll just go back to whatever the default was. Buffer mode. So this is just different things that you can do. As you see here, fully buffered, original speed, no tearing, but more lag. Zero delay, the system speed is adjusted to provide zero lag output, or single buffer, some tearing, but lower lag. I'm just leaving it as it's set up here on the zero delay. Color, so limit RGB range, lock gamma sliders together. I'm not changing any of this. If you need to maybe adjust something for your particular TV, you've got the ability to do that with this system. DAC RGB mode and advanced mode. So there's a number of things that you can do, and really I just recommend, again, it may look a little different on different TVs. Maybe whatever TV you've got set up to play this on, play around with it a little bit. Whenever you get into the game itself, I will show you that you can pull up this menu and you can play around with it while the game is playing, and that's really the best way. That way you can see how everything's going to look and adjust it to whatever you prefer. So we're back out here to the main menu, and as I had stated before, you know, we did make a change there about the sprites. So let's say we want to save that. What we'll do is we'll go down here to Save, Clear Settings, hit A, well, A because I've set this up, and then we'll go Save Settings. And it's going to ask us, do you really want to save? Yeah, we'll save. And it's done. So pretty simple. So if you want to go back to your factory defaults, which is everything the same, I'm not going to do that, but then you could go in here and go through that exercise. Audio. So there's different options here you can do in regards to however you're wanting to set up the sound. I will say, and once we get this game going, I don't know how it's going to sound on the video capture, but I think that the audio is very clear on this. Sometimes when you're playing some of these older games, especially if you've got, depending on what kind of cables you've got going from your console to the TV, sometimes it'll sound kind of muffled, or you will hear some distortion, kind of like a speaker is blown. This sounds very clear. I played a few games with it just to test it out, and I thought it all sounded very well. I'm not going to mess with this. Again, if that's something you want to do, fine, but I thought that it was good the way it was set up. System, menu options. Okay, so this is where you can get in and set up hotkeys, different things. So like menu options, skin, highlight style, highlight color. If we want to change the way the color is, everything on here, you can do that. I think it's fine, so I'm just leaving it alone. Controls and hotkeys. So look, menu hotkey here. This is how, if you want to get back to the menu during a game, this is how you set that up. You're going to just push whatever button you've got set up here as, so like here would be right. So if you wanted to have a right on your D-pad plus another button, or just by itself whenever you're playing a game, that's what's going to pull up the menu. Now I would recommend making it a couple different buttons, and probably buttons that you're not going to use together regularly. Otherwise, whenever you're trying to play a game, if you hit those buttons, it's going to pull up the menu. What I did was I did start and select. So anytime during a game, if we hit start and select at the same time, it's going to pull up this menu. And I'll show you what that looks like in a moment whenever we're playing it. Confirm select key. So this is what I was talking about when I set up confirm and cancel as A and B. You've got down here X and Y. So you can set up any of these keys as your confirm or select key. Now I set up A because I just prefer that. I think it's easier because of, again, other menus are typically A and B. So that's the way I set it up. Cancel back. So I've got this set up as B on here. Again, it's pretty typical, but if you wanted to use any of these others, you can do that on here. And then if you do not wish to have hotkeys, you can click this and it's not going to work. But I don't like that. I like having the menu hotkeys set up here. Startup options. So this is where if you don't want to go into this menu here that we're looking at whenever you start the cartridge up, if you want to go direct to your cartridge or whatever you've got going on, you can do that. Title menu, this is what we've got right now. If you just want to go to the cartridge directly when you turn it on, you can do that. You can go directly to the menu with no title or directly to the cartridge with no title. But I think the title's kind of neat to set that up. Just kind of, it's more typical of a traditional console, the way you have that set up. So I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to leave the menu for now as well. Maybe once we start playing with this a little bit more and we're sure that we've got all the settings we want, then I'll set it up to just be the cartridge. But for now I think we're going to leave that, especially since we've got that game set up in there, the Turrican game. If we want to play it, then we can play it. Otherwise, we just boot the cartridge. Hardware. So this is where you can really get in and change some things in here. I didn't mess with any of this. I have no plan on doing so. But if you do have a PAL, like if you're in Europe or somewhere else, you can set this up. Obviously, we're here in North America, so we're just going to leave it as NTSC, but you can switch these. But when we get down here to this stuff, I have no interest in changing any of this. Maybe someone else does. But the options are there, and I think that's the key with this. It lets you do pretty much whatever you want to do with the console. LED options. So this is where you can actually change the LED color on the console itself. Whenever you do the initial firmware and you install it, the light will be flashing red. And then after that, once it's done and you turn it on, the light is just a white color that turns on. I'm just going to leave it as it is because I think that's fine. But there is different things that you can do on here. And maybe at some point in time we'll play around with that a little bit. But for right now, I think we'll leave it alone. Actually, what we might do just to see what happens, we're going to change this to K Pro Rainbow. I have no idea what that will do, but we're going to try it. Now let's go back to the main menu and save it. Save settings. Yes, we're going to really save it. So what's happening right now on the console, I changed that to rainbow, and the LED that's on the top of the console is actually changing colors from red, yellow, green, blue. It's just consistently changing. It looks kind of neat. I guess we'll leave it like that for right now, but it's really just whatever you want. But I think it's cool that they give you these options to change things on here. So now let's get back to just the main menu here. As you'll notice, we've got some different options. We've got Run Cartridge, and then the Turrican games, and settings and tools. Now, if you're this console works pretty good because you can play the original SNES games, Super Nintendo games, or you could play a EverDrive cartridge. So if you've got an EverDrive cartridge, for example, in the console, you're just going to hit Run Cartridge and it's going to boot that up. We'll show you what that looks like in a minute. We're also going to do just a standard Super Nintendo game to show you what that looks like. And then we could turn on one of these and just show you what the Super Turrican game is going to look like. But we'll do Run Cartridge right now. And right now we've got Jeopardy in the console. So this is just going to be a traditional Super Nintendo game. Let's see what it looks like.
Jeopardy!
How many players? We're going to do 2 players. Okay. Play, yes, we're going to play against the computer. Okay. So, all right. Who do I want to be? The baseball player? Let me see. Choose a person. Yeah, we'll just pick a player. That's fine. Okay, now Eli is going to be player 2. All right. So this answers the age-old question, which is better? Baseball, basketball, or what was that, ice skating? Okay, oh, I got the upper hand, batting to govern bodies. Okay, so before we actually focus on the game here, let's take a look. The resolution looks very good. And what I mean by that is, you'll notice it looks like it's very pixelated, but that's the way it's supposed to look. And those pixels look very clear. If you look at the outline of each individual pixel, it's very clear to tell what it is. You don't see a lot of discoloration or different things. It looks very clear. Also, the sound was very clear. All the different highs and lows, they came in very good. Now, I've paused this, but I didn't pause the game itself. What I did was I hit the start and select button to get us to that main menu. The reason why I want to do this, I want to show you what it looks like to change the look of the width and height and different things. So if we go to settings, video, width and height. So this is where you can either, and all I'm doing is I'm highlighting width and I'm going to go down. So right now we've got 1896. Let's just go down. So if I hold it down, as you'll notice, the screen is shrinking. Now we can change this to whatever we want it to be. I'm going to go back up just to fill our screen. Now, this is really kind of a personal preference thing. You can make it more square. I'll show you in a second, a different ratio where you can make it look like a traditional, the older TVs, or you can do the newer widescreen formats. I've got this set up right now for the widescreen just to take up the TV, but it does change the shapes. Since we're widening this up, something that would have been square may be rectangular now. So it is going to be a little different as far as the look goes, but not the clarity. So your colors, your shapes, and everything is still going to look clear. It's going to distort it a little bit to be more wide than what it originally was meant to be. But you can do all that here if you want to. You can also change it if it needs to be moved to the left or the right. You can do that. If we go to, let me see, resolution. So let's just see, 480p 60. Let me see. Oh, okay, it won't let me change that right now. If you see that there's a caution, changing resolution might crash game. You'd think it would say might crash the game, but I guess we're not going for any type of proper grammar here. So it's not gonna let me change it here. But if you change it, whenever you're not in the middle of the game, it'll show you what it looks like. Cropping, you can do that. So anyhow, this is just to show you that if you're wanting to change anything in the game, you can. There are some things you can change, especially if you want to change the size. I think that's a key one here. You can do that while you're playing the game just to see what something looks like. So we'll get out of this menu. And to do that, we're just going to hit the start and select button again because that's how I have it set up. Now we're back into the game. Now if we want to pause the game, it's going to be just typical. You're just going to hit the start button to pause it. So let's, we'll just pick something here. Defunct events. This sounds interesting. Okay, I have no idea what this is going to be.
The answer is.
This lawn game was an Olympic event in 1900. Wow.
Good luck.
1900, let's do horseshoes. I don't know. I don't know if that's one word or two words. Horseshoe, I'm not sure. I don't know how critical this game is if you get things. Okay. Okay.
Oh.
All right, go ahead, Eli. Just try something.
Oh my God! I gotta guess this.
Well, let's see what happens then. Croquet. Okay. So anyhow, this is what a traditional cartridge looks like. Again, the colors and all of your graphics, everything, it looks very clear, and I think that's the key here. There's no distortion going on. It all looks like it should have looked. Yeah, it's very pixelated, but that's how the game would have looked originally. So now that we've done this, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the main menu. and we're going to run Super Turrican. Let's see what happens if we try to go over to that game while we're playing this game. All right, so it started right up, no problem. So what I'll say right now, it sounds really clear. What do you think, Eli?
It does.
Nothing sounds distorted. Okay, let's see if we can skip through this and see what the actual gameplay looks like. Start. Okay. Not really interested in all the reading right now.
Arm your assault suit.
What'd you say to me?
Spread desktop.
Okay. All right, now I've never been around this game or anything, so I'm not. Okay. Looks like I fell in a wormhole. Was not expecting that.
Power up.
Okay. Oh. Got all kinds of stuff going on here. Okay, so, I mean, the game's playing good. The controls are responsive. Now, we are using 8BitDo's wireless controllers. Not wired controllers, but I don't notice any lag or issues here. One thing I will say is, the way we were playing this on our original Super Nintendo is we were using a Hyperkin cable to go from the traditional output of the video to HDMI to do our game capture. And to do that, we had to use a external power cable just to power that adapter. So you had that extra cord there, which is a pain you don't want to deal with. But there always seemed to be like some type of a little lag. And you may not notice it too much looking at it, but you'll notice it when you start dying a lot. And it's one thing here, I'm not really focused on what I'm doing, but when you're trying to play a game, especially a fast-paced game like a shooter or something, you have to have the timing as accurate as possible, otherwise you're going to die. You get into one of those situations where there's bullets and stuff everywhere, you're not going to last. So I don't notice that when I'm playing it here. Everything seems to be pretty accurate. The video looks good, the sound is pretty good. So this would be this type of game. Now what we're going to do, let's go to the other Turrican game here. Super Turrican Director's Cut. I'll see if I can't get through everything. We'll just play. I tried to play this one, I think, the other day for a couple minutes, and it was all right. Yeah. Sounds good. The music sounds very clear. The graphics look good. What's this guy want? Get out of here. Done with you. All right, so anyways, this looks really good, sounds really good. Now what we're gonna do, just to show you that it works, I'm gonna turn off the console. We're gonna put our EverDrive cartridge in, and then we're gonna turn it on and show you guys what that looks like. So as I stated the last time, whenever you start it up, the Analogue logo, it changes each time you start it up, which I think is very cool. I don't know how many different startup sequences they have as far as the images go, but that's a neat little added touch. I like the music and everything that goes along with it. Now we're in our main menu, and I've got our EverDrive FXPAK Pro installed into the game console. So we're gonna run the cartridge, see what it looks like. Okay, here we go. So here we are at our typical menu for this. And this is just the way we've got our folder set up. But we'll go into games. And then we can pick whatever game we want to play here. It doesn't matter. If we go to, let's see. What's the game we should try out here, Eli? Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
Here we go, Street Fighter Alpha 2. Let's check this out. All right. This game looked pretty good, so we'll see what it looks like on here with this new console. Oh yeah. Okay. Ooh. All right. So, versus mode. All right. So me and Eli is going to tear it up here. Who do you want, Eli? Think of somebody I used to use a lot. You got, who'd you get? Birdie?
Manual, what's the difference? Manual's just
Hold on, what's it say? Auto guard, simple? I'd leave it at auto. I'd leave it at auto.
You sure?
No, I'm not sure. But,
Okay.
let's see.
Yes.
Who do I want? Jin, Ryu. We'll get Dulcim. All right. Speed, what'd you do?
I did auto.
No, on speed.
I didn't give you the option.
Okay.
I guess you're just faster than me.
I think it's for both of us.
Oh.
What's this? China. Where do we want to go? Let's go to Japan.
What's Japan?
Yeah, check out Japan.
I don't know how to play.
I don't either. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Why do I look like that? Oh, what just happened? Oh, how do I go faster? Hey, how do I drop? Wow.
See if we got any. Ooh. I'm not sure how to do any special moves or anything here. Stay away from me, bro. What's your problem?
How can you stretch out your limbs and I can't? You can reach further than me.
Yeah, that's the idea. Oh, level max. What's that mean? Oh, here we go. I don't know what that did.
I can't even reach you.
Yeah, that's the idea. Ooh. Oh. Max. Oh, you got your max thing.
I don't know what that is.
I think I did L and R, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, I don't know what that does. I never played this version of the game. I just had the regular Street Fighter 2. I don't know.
Look at that health.
Okay, I got robbed of that one.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're nothing.
Right.
Okay, so
Wait a minute.
I think this one's got its, maybe its color's a little messed up just because of the cartridge itself, but let me see. So we're just gonna reset it. And then what I did there is I hit start and select to go back to the main menu, and I hit run cartridge, taking us back to the beginning here. Let's pick out Street Fighter 2, not this Alpha and all this stuff. Let's see. Some of these games I haven't even tried yet, so I don't know if they work right or not. Some of these ROMs. Let's see, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Let's rock and roll. Here we go. Back to the 90s. So everything sounds really good right now. I think the music sounds very clear. Okay. The new turbo. The characters move faster, so it's not all laggy. Well, it's what it's supposed to be. That's Blanca. Let me get Blanca. Stage select.
What? You have like 20 stars and I only have 3. I don't think this will be a fair fight.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing, so.
No, the stars are how strong you are.
Go ahead, come over here.
No, you're gonna destroy me. You have like so many stars and I only have 3. See?
Well, how'd that happen?
You did this and it got you more stars.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This is gonna be a fair fight. Do you see how much damage? Hold
All
on,
right, so
watch
yeah.
how much damage I do.
Okay.
Now hit me.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just superiority there. But.
Right.
Okay, hold on. Don't do nothing. Let's just take a look at everything for a second. So if we look at the characters, again, it's pixelated, but it's supposed to be. I think the key is here that the pixels are very defined. They're not everything. All the pixels are separate. They look very good. I don't have an issue with anything here. What do you think, Eli? Other than the fact that you're losing.
Losing, yeah. I wonder why I'm losing.
Man, I really whooped you there. That wasn't really much
Yeah.
fun. Okay, so now let's try another key title from this console. Let's let me see here. All right, so I'm just gonna go back. Let's try Castlevania. Let me see.
Why are you asking Castlevania? Oh, Super Castlevania.
Yes, I tried this out the other day just for a little bit, and it seemed like it was gonna work pretty good. So we'll check it out here. So that sounds good. Very clear. The colors look very good. Oh yeah. All right. Nobody's got time for that. Continue. Let's just start. There. You happy? There's your name.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, shouldn't have got that one, I guess.
Yes, go up.
Yeah, I'm trying. Working on it. There we go. Made it. Okay. Oh boy. Oh yeah. You hear that?
Yeah.
Sounds good. I vote for a Castlevania movie. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh yeah. Now we're rocking. Now we got some music going here. Man, this sounds real good. Your opinion, Eli? Sound good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this thing's sounding really good right now. Looks good, sounds good. Man, what else can you ask for? Doing a little platforming here. All right, get this fool out of my way. All right. Oh boy. Ah! Oh, I thought I made it up the steps.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Come on.
That's
All right. Yeah, this thing sounds really good. But it doesn't hurt that it's got a good soundtrack to it anyway, so. Okay. So anyways, you guys get the point here. Sounds good, looks good, it's easy to use. You've got a lot of options in regards to how you want this to look, resolution, screen size, screen position, the sound, the way you can get back to the menu while you're in a game. You can switch things around and everything. It's a pretty good setup. Would I recommend this? I think it depends on what you're wanting to do. We'll talk about that here in a minute whenever we close up this episode, but this is just a little bit of gameplay for you guys to get a feel of how this is. And then let's wrap everything up for you guys. All right, you guys, so you've seen us unbox and review the Analogue Super NT. This is a great system. I have no complaints about it whatsoever. Everything works exactly as it should. The graphics look better than ever, and the sound is better than ever. If you're interested in one of these, I recommend picking up one as soon as possible. Analogue has confirmed in an email to me that they're no longer going to make them, which is that's a deal breaker. And if you don't buy one now, prices are going to continue to get higher and higher until the point that you're not going to buy it because you're going to talk yourself out of it due to the high price. So if you want one, now's the time to buy one. You can go to Mercari, eBay, wherever, find one of these. A lot of people bought multiple so that they could sell them afterwards, still packaged, because I think they knew that the price was going to go up. Regardless, if you want one, just buy one. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, keep game.